It's for years I've been saying the left needs to organize independent media in the way that the right has been doing. The left needs to fund independent creators the way that the right does. The right has won even arguably presidential elections because they're organized with regard to online and independent media. They're killing us. We've been so behind. And this kind of support for creators is exactly what I've been advocating for.
I need to take a minute and debunk some important misinformation.
Bro, we have your literal text messages. I know Brian Tyler Cohen told you nobody would find out about this, but we did. You've been exposed as being paid to make all your content. In case you're unaware, we now have the proof that all these liberal content creators were being paid $8,000 a month by a group founded by Brian Tyler Cohen. And the way they were paying them, they were just paying them a monthly salary of about $8,000. This way, they weren't paying them for specific pieces of content. Therefore, they didn't have to disclose they were paid to make it. Hey guys, all your favorite liberal creators, they're all part of this group. They're all getting paid. Fucking Barrett Adair, Suzanne Lambert, Ariel Fodor, Sander Jennings, David Packman, Lee McGowan, that girl you see on MSNBC known as Politics Girl, Olivia Juliana. Pretty sure you all knew that one, right? Oh, and Aaron Parnas, who, like I said, we literally have his text messages telling other creators this is a take it or leave it offer, and he's not interested in pushing for more money. All of this was funded by the 1630 Fund, and it was run by Democrat influencer Brian Tyler Cohen. Oh, and you know that girl Elizabeth Booker Houston who called out Madeline when she tried to point this out like 8 months ago? Yes, surprise, surprise, she's also being paid. But we told you this. Like, we told you that all of these people don't actually believe what they're saying. They're just being paid to make this content. And here's the thing. This should be the end of all their social media careers. They've been exposed.
Blue MAGA is real. Now that it's been discovered that the Democratic Party has been paying liberal content creators to push their centrist agenda, take the words of liberals online with a grain of salt. We just found one of these groups paying these people. There could be more. Where there's smoke, there's fire. I always had the suspicion that some people were being paid, but these past couple months were too obvious. The Gavin Newsom discourse, we don't have time for progress in your purity politics, lefties. You must now pledge your allegiance to Emperor Gavin Newsom 3 years before the Democratic primary of 2028.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. So we got to talk about a fascinating story because leftists are outraged. They are outraged at Democrat Party influencers because of this bombshell article that came out from Wired by Taylor Lorenz, who is a leftist, right? So again, we're talking about left-wing on left-wing violence here, right? It's Democrat Party friendly fire. But she dropped a bombshell article exposing a dark money group secretly funding high-profile Democrat influencers, aka they're collecting a check, allegedly up to $8,000 a month. $8,000 a month to push the party line, aka to push propaganda on behalf of the Democrat Party. And all they have to do is keep it secret and agree to restrictions on their content, aka agree not to substantively criticize the Democrat Party, right? And to push that party line, right? To push anti-Trump talking points. And you can receive an $8,000 check. Now, I want to read about this so that you guys can get a better understanding of what's going on here because leftists are upset. They are pissed because they found out that their favorite independent media news personality is actually a paid propagandist on behalf of the DNC, okay? And this is a big deal because of the current civil war happening within the Democrat Party, okay? Mainly over the issue of Israel and Gaza, which is the Achilles heel of the Democrat Party right now. And that's basically what this is an extension of, okay? That's what this is really all about. And again, I want to talk about it so everybody understands the current civil war that is causing problems within the Democrat Party. And I think this story is just another part of that. So let's go ahead and get into it. A secretive dark money group tied to the Democrat Party is paying online influencers up to $8,000 a month to disseminate left-leaning talking points, according to a report. The Chorus Creator Incubator Program is said to be funded by the 1630 Fund, a nonprofit sometimes portrayed as the left's answer to the Koch network, and which has funneled money to dozens of Democratic-friendly influencers, according to Wired magazine. The names attached to the program span some of the most recognizable liberal voices online. They include Olivia Giuliana, the Gen Z activist who spoke at the 2024 Democratic National Convention, Lauren Pietra, a former Playboy executive turned Occupy Democrats YouTuber, and Barrett Adair, the content creator who runs a viral American Girl doll theme meme account. Yeah, so you have Olivia Giuliana, who apparently is the answer for Democrats when it comes to reaching men, right? Apparently she's the answer. They pay her ass $8,000 a month. I'm sure she buying a lot of snacks, right? $8,000 a month. You can buy a lot of snacks for $8,000 a month, right? The program also includes Susan Lambert, who styles herself as a Regina George liberal, Ariel Fonder, a teacher with 1.4 million TikTok followers, Sander Jennings, the TLC reality star and older brother of trans influencer Jazz Jennings, and David Pakman, host of a YouTube show. Yeah, so David Pakman, who is supposed to be quote-unquote independent, right? An independent commentator, apparently is getting paid by this program, okay? And did he disclose that to his audience? No, right? Did he tell his audience, hey, I'm getting paid by this program, allegedly connected to the Democrat Party, right? Did he tell his audience that? No. But he's supposed to be independent, right? Independent, okay? Independent. Lee McGowan, better known to our audience as Politics Girl, is also reported to be tied to the program. Yeah, so basically all of these Democrat Party influencers, right, that we all know and loathe, again, they possibly are being paid by some group that is loosely tied to the Democrat Party, right? So let's actually read a little bit more about the juicy details, and then we're going to get into the reactions. In all, Chorus told participants more than 90 influencers were expected to join, according to Wired. The arrangement was cloaked in secrecy. Contracts reviewed by Wired barred creators from publicly acknowledging the program, disclosing the identity of any funder, or even admitting they were being paid at all, the publication reported. A breach could mean expulsion from the program and the loss of thousands in monthly income, according to Wired. One clause reportedly gave Chorus unilateral authority to demand creators take down content produced at its events. Another required influencers to route any dealings with politicians through the organization, effectively turning Chorus into a gatekeeper between Democratic politicians and their online supporters, according to Wired. Yeah, so basically what you have here is a system in which the communications between these influencers and Democrats and how the influencers present Democrat politicians to their audience is all under one program, right? It's all under one roof. The influencers are being paid directly, and their communications with Democrat politicians go through this program, which again keeps it all in-house, right? To make sure that nobody falls out of line. AKA nobody asks a Democrat politician a serious question, right? Nobody says anything critical of the Democrat that they're bringing on to interview or to create content with, right? Like this woman right here, okay? Yeah, all this stuff right here is staged, right? It's staged and paid for, right? Allegedly, according to this article. So with that being said, we get kind of the gist of what's going on here, the allegations, okay? So with that being said, I want to go ahead and play some clips of leftists who are upset to find out that their favorite so-called independent news content creator, again, is actually paid propaganda shield for the Democrat Party.
If you follow any news creators or any political creators, you must read this article that just came out from Wired. An in-depth article about a dark money group that has been paying upwards of $8,000 a month to influencers who will not talk about Gaza, okay, that's part of it, and who will shill the Democratic Party line. Now, I saw Olivia Giuliana, who was, of course, on the list a couple months ago, being like, people are acting like I'm getting paid to change my views. I'm not. Aaron Parnas is on the list, of course. That woman who goes by Politics Girl, David Pakman, that too raw, too real guy, but I guess not that raw, not that real, because you're taking tons of money from a dark money group and not disclosing it. That Suzanne Lambert woman, Brian Tyler Cohen, the list goes on and on. These people being paid thousands and thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars to toe the Democratic Party line, not talk about anything having to do with Palestine, and not disclosing it. So they're all in a group chat getting paid by this. They said it was upwards of 90 influencers in this campaign. One of the lawyers say in the article that one of the best parts about it is that you don't have to tell your viewers that you're getting paid to do this messaging. Because of course, dark money loopholes and shit in this country is really fucking corrupt. You know, some of us for months have been trying to warn you that these people were frauds. I have seen videos of some of the same people acting like this is no big deal, dragging creators because they didn't properly disclose the 40-cent commission they got off a lip gloss on TikTok Shop. Even TikTok Shop requires you, no matter how little the commission, to disclose if you are getting paid. But you guys have no problem with people signing a secretive contract that says they're going to push specific messaging on behalf of the Democratic Party without telling you they're getting paid to do so. On the contrary, these people have built platforms saying that they are authentic and independent and would disclose those kinds of things. They're paying to boost their content. They're paying for them to get placement in articles so that you think that you're watching people calling themselves independent progressive news, and to make you think that their growth and their visibility is authentic and organic when it's actually astroturfed.
Left-leaning content creators on this app have been fucking lying to you. This is the most important TikTok I'm ever going to make, and it very well might be my last. I am shaking. I can no longer afford to do this because of these creators, but also because I'm not even so sure that most of this country is worth saving at this point. And a lot of you should know what that means considering what I put into this. So let's get into it. Aaron Parnas, Susan Lambert, don't worry, I'm gonna fucking get to all of you. According to a new article by Wired, they've all been accepting $8,000 a month and not disclosing it to you from a dark money group that paid Chorus to do this. Unlike every single one of those fucks, I told you guys that I was approached with a similar deal, and I said that that would not hold true to who I am as a person, and I want to have a brand that sells itself. I want to break stories myself. I want to do investigative journalism myself.
You know, I've got to get this off my chest because I am just so incredibly disappointed. I followed these so-called progressive influencers because I thought they were different. I thought they were authentic voices, cutting through the corporate media bullshit, speaking truth to power. But it turns out they're just speaking for power, for a paycheck. This whole Chorus operation, bankrolled by the massive dark money 1630 fund, isn't an innovative strategy. It's a straight up betrayal.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that. The followers of these Democrat influencers, leftists, are pissed, right? They're super pissed about the fact that their favorite independent internet news personality is in fact a paid propaganda shield for the Democrat Party. They're saying that this is the reason why they don't want to talk about Israel and Gaza, which again, like I said, that's the Achilles heel of the Democrat Party, right? Because everything to them, right, is about Israel and Gaza. That's the issue that they care about the most, that they won't stop talking about. And if you're on the left and you refuse to talk about that issue, if you say, hey, you know what, I don't really want to talk about this issue, yeah, that's a problem. Okay, so yeah, they're basically connecting it back to that. Okay, and I think that's part of the reason why this was exposed in the first place, is because there's a movement on the left, a very powerful movement on the left, a strong movement, a vocal movement about how everybody has to be on the same page when it comes to Israel and Gaza, right? And if you're not pro-Palestinian, if you're not pro-Gaza, then you're a traitor. You're not a real leftist. You're an op, right? You're an op, okay? So anyways, with that being said, let's go ahead and get into the responses to these allegations from some of the people who were accused, like, for example, David Pakman and Brian Tyler Cohen, who we all know is a propagandist for the Democrat Party. This is their explanation for why is it they were getting paid to shield Democrat Party DNC talking points, allegedly.
This group has nothing to do with the DNC. People writing saying the Democratic Party is telling people what to say. At its base, the group has nothing to do with the DNC, period. Number two, I do not get clearance for anything I say. I do not run interview questions by anyone at Chorus. I don't tell Chorus when I'm going to be doing an interview. Not a single segment I have done, not a single question I've ever asked a guest has anything to do with Chorus. They don't tell me what to talk about. They don't tell me who to interview. They don't tell me how to cover a story. There are no restrictions of any kind on my content. I've never covered a story because Chorus suggested I do it. I've never not covered a story because Chorus suggested I not do it. There is no content relationship of any kind. So what does Chorus do? They run technical trainings, how to produce content, how to make your operation more efficient. How do you take a small shop of 1, 2, or 3 people and put content out on multiple platforms the way I've been doing successfully for decades?
At the risk of giving an internet troll more attention, I want to address a piece that Taylor Lorenz wrote yesterday for Wired. An initiative aimed at boosting Democrats online offers influencers up to $8,000 a month to push the party line. All they have to do is keep it secret and agree to restrictions on their content. Literally nothing in this statement is true. The article is about Chorus, which is a nonprofit that I helped found to build up our creator ecosystem, which everybody says they want, but few are doing. So here's what Chorus is. It is a scholarship program to teach creators how to grow their accounts, foster engagement, launch their own shows, and become profitable on their own. It's an incubator program to build the pro-democracy ecosystem. Influencers and creators have never been more important when it comes to how Americans are consuming their news. The right has been doing this for years, and the left needs to catch up. That's why we're doing this with Chorus. So let's talk about what Chorus is and what it's not. Chorus does not pay creators for content, does not tell them what to say, does not control who they talk to or work with, and there is absolutely nothing in the contract that could even be reasonably interpreted to say that we do. Period. Full stop. I don't know a single creator who would willfully sign up for a program that would tell them what they can or can't say. That's not what this program is. We pay people to show up to workshops and technical trainings to optimize their content online. For example, we've got trainings on how to package content for YouTube, trainings on how to optimize audience retention for Instagram and TikTok, trainings on how to form an LLC. Again, there are zero restrictions on their content. And by the way, the program works. In just 2 months, our cohort has added a combined 6 million followers, that's not including me, and seen their views and engagement grow. That is the point of the program, to teach creators how to be effective with whatever messages they want to promote. And with regard to keeping it a secret, there is a standard confidentiality clause in the contract to protect the privacy of the creators. On the literal first day of the program, it was made clear to all of the creators in our kickoff session that they were absolutely free to talk about Chorus. And we immediately followed up to confirm that in writing. Creators have videos about Chorus. They've got donation links to Chorus in their bios. I myself have made videos that were posted all over the internet about Chorus that reached hundreds of thousands of people. It is not a secret, and it never was. There's the implication in the article that this is some arm of the DNC or the Democratic Party. We have literally nothing to do with the DNC. I spend 0 minutes of my day thinking about the DNC. The creators do not toe any party line. How could we? There isn't a party line. Creators are absolutely allowed to speak out against the Democrats, and in fact, plenty do. And frankly, Chorus creators should and do criticize Democrats when they suck, and quite often, they do suck. I've seen posts saying that this is APAC funded, which couldn't be further from the truth. I'd venture to guess that most Chorus creators, myself included on both YouTube and Substack, have spoken out against the atrocities in Gaza. Lorenz says that the 1630 Fund is, quote, a powerful liberal dark money group. 1630 Fund is our fiscal sponsor. One of the largest documented donors to 1630 Fund is the same person funding Meteor's Reporters in Residence program, which Taylor Lorenz herself is a part of. And guess what her monthly stipend is? $8,000 per month. So she's criticizing an entity that is funded by someone that she is currently taking money from. I guess it's okay when Taylor Lorenz gets paid, but no one else.
Yeah, so what you have there is David Pakman and Brian Tyler Cohen defending themselves, basically claiming that there's nothing nefarious about this, there's nothing sketchy about them receiving this money in order to shield on behalf of the Democrat Party. Trust and believe, according to Brian Tyler Cohen, that they weren't paid to shield on behalf of the Democrat Party, that they could post whatever viewpoint that they wanted, okay? And there would be no problems whatsoever, which is why they only were doing this with Democrat Party influencers, right? Which is why they had no MAGA influencers or any conservative influencers or influencers that are pro-Republican, right? Because, again, they could just say whatever they wanted to say. It didn't matter, right? It didn't matter. But David Pakman admitted in his response that basically this is about funding left-wing media, right? This is about funding media that is going to push the agenda of the Democrat Party, right? That's essentially what he's saying. And his justification for it is that, well, this is what the right does, right? The right has won presidential elections doing this, right? And it's like, well, you know, I can't speak for anybody else. I only can speak for myself. I'm not being paid by any shadowy political organization, PAC, right? I'm not being paid at all, okay, by any of these organizations. So, I mean, I don't know what he's talking about, right? I only can speak for myself. Maybe other people are, I don't know. But I'll just give you my opinions, okay? You can, like it or don't like it, right? I'll just give you my opinions, and if people like it, then they watch it. That's basically how I get paid. But, these Democrat Party influencers apparently are doing so, right? They are getting paid, and they're justifying it by saying, well, the left needs to create a online media sphere, right? Ecosystem like the right. But what these people don't understand is that you can't just buy organic audience growth, right? And viewership. You can't just buy it. It has to be done organically. MAGA is organic, okay? And that's what these people don't understand. Democrats think they can just pay. They can pay for an organic movement, and you can't do that. You can't do that. Which tells you everything you need to know about these leftists, right? These leftists, their appeal is very limited, right? Because if they actually had the juice, they wouldn't have to do this at all. This is why I'm actually convinced that a lot of these outlets, like Midas Touch, right, that apparently have so many views, I think a lot of these outlets, I'm just saying, I'm not sure if I believe all of their viewers are real. I'm not sure if I believe their viewership is 100% authentic or organic. I just don't believe it because of how much these people are just willing to pay for the appearance of authenticity, right? Because ultimately, none of these people are authentic. They're all fake. And that's why David Pakman and Brian Tyler Cohen are receiving backlash despite their responses. So Nathan J. Robinson says, this is disgusting. David is pretending that secretly being bribed by the Democrat Party is the same thing as, quote, funding independent left media, suggesting that if you're against his corrupt bargain, you must be against left media. Steve Factor says, the most shocking part of this story is how bad David Pakman is at business. With his audience size plus risk of reputational damage, he could have negotiated at least $80K per month. Professor Zinka says, David Pakman and Brian Tyler Cohen are paid hacks who took money from DNC big money donors to ignore the carnage in Gaza so as to not hurt Kamala Harris in the election. Now they prop up pro-genocide politicians like Richie Torres, proving establishment lackeys like Torres actually have no organic support. This scheme doesn't demonstrate Democrat strength. It reveals their weakness. Yeah, so again, they're catching a whole lot of backlash here because their audience feels betrayed, right? They feel like, hey, these people fake, okay? They're out here pushing talking points on behalf of the Democrat Party, and they get paid for it, and they're not disclosing this. So, I personally don't know, right, if that is actually the case, if they're being paid directly or indirectly by the DNC. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case. But what I will say is that even in the case of this being some type of program in order to get more left-wing content creators out there, I still think that it's kind of silly, right? It's kind of pathetic because, again, if you got the juice like that, if you're real and you can actually appeal to the people, you don't need anything like this, right? If your movement is a movement built off of policies, principles, and ideas that are attractive to people, okay, to the average everyday American, then you don't need any of this, right? You don't need to go out there and pay people to push left-wing talking points. You don't need to do that. People will just do it and people will gravitate towards it and you will have an organic buildup of viewership. The fact that, again, leftists believe they need to pour money into building up an ecosystem of people who have left-wing opinions and to get people to actually watch and engage with that content, again, it just shows you how out of touch these people are. They really do believe that you can just buy legitimacy, right? You can buy authenticity. And that's what Kamala Harris tried to do. That's what she tried to do with her whole presidential campaign, and it failed. It failed. And here we have another attempt by the Democrat Party to buy support. It's pathetic. It really is. It is absolutely pathetic. So, hey, let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.